Hi, I'm Billi Maddox and I'm gonna mess this up so that you don't have to. Look what it is. It is our little holdout blaster that I'm currently still working on, but you'll see in the video. But this is what I've gotten so far. It's pretty much done. Let's just do a quick recap of what you're gonna need. Recap! Now what I've done in the past is we did the prepping, we did the masking, we did the base coats, and then in part 2 I added some greeblies with some found objects. So I drilled into the thing, I glued the thing I glued the thing and onto the thing. Here we are now where I'm finishing up the actual paint application and the weathering. I wanted to use these metallic paints that I found. Extreme, is it really called Extreme Sheen? Dazzling metallic paints in this beautiful pewter, which is what's on some of the accents here, it sort of looks like a blue steel. It doesn't really look like pewter, to be honest. So I wanted to break up some of the silver. We're gonna break that even more up with some of these other colors. I'm gonna use this sort of purple and this turquoise, but you'll see that in a second. I dropped that, I'm glad it was closed. And we're gonna do some weathering and stuff. And you'll see some of the painting of some of the little details. That's what you're gonna see. Let's get into it.
So I did all the knurling bits in this pewter color because it looks so good. And now I'm developing lately an unhealthy obsession with the color yellow. It is affecting my life. The people around me are worried. I am also currently lying to you. I just really like the color yellow as of late. I'm not sure why, so I wanted to give this some yellow accents. Oh, look at that pewter shining in the light though. I did some of the raised areas, some of the lowered areas in this yellow, and that little sort of tank you see there in the, like sort of behind my brush also gets painted yellow. I did these real weird knobs where the NERF logo was in silver. Those will get weathered later. You see I added a bit more yellow details all around. This little sort of tank area that I'm calling it, I wanted to sort of make it look like a yellow tank all the way around. As you see here, it's kind of like a round cylindrical thing that's on both sides, so I figured that was that. Now in weathering, using a Sharpie is alright. I'd say use it sparingly. You want to be really light with it and only do kind of the edges of things. You see how I'm using the side of the marker rather than going in with the point. It'll give you a good idea of where you want to do more weathering later.
Okay, we're gonna get into the weathering now, but before I do that, if you notice here, I masked off these two areas because these two were sort of metal pieces that I didn't want anything to happen. So let's go ahead and take the tape off. What? Why is it raining? Why is everyone? Is it you're looking at me because of the last time when that was weird. It was weird for the both of us. I understand that now. I've grown. I think we've both grown, and I'm hoping that maybe you put that behind you now. I'm never gonna do it again. I wish I knew the words again, 'cause I don't know the words.
Now here we go with what I call, well, I guess it's not what I call, it's heat oxidation. This is a blaster, it fires lasers, and it's a metal gun, quote unquote, so there's gonna be some heat oxidation on that metal, and this is how you do it. I got these metallic paints, this beautiful purple and this beautiful blue that I'm kind of layering, and doing it kind of splotchy, you know, get really, you know, do some happy heat oxidation. I wanted to add some warmth to it. I don't have a metallic kind of orange, but I mixed up an orange and just kind of gave it a little bit of a tone and then kind of wiped it off. You could see it in real life there's some little sort of warm tones there, but it's mostly the blue heat oxidation. The barrel obviously needs to be scorched, and here I'm adding a bit of scorching, mixing the silver and a black. Now weathering, here we go. You want to really water down. I've got like a charcoal gray and a burnt sienna that I like using. I mix them up to give me a nice sort of rich tone, and I just go crazy with it. I use these cheap brushes with these plastic, really thick bristles, and that gives me a really irregular kind of brush stroke. It's really good for weathering. Go crazy with it, but you know, be wary. Make sure you're watering it down, or else you won't be able to wipe this off. That's the whole point. You just kind of want to give it a little touch and make it kind of look a little bit dirty and oily and all the nooks and crannies and all of that. See, even this tank here, it looks crazy because I'm like, what are you doing? You're painting over all your stuff. But don't worry, it'll wipe right off because it's all watered down. But that's what you want, so that you know your colors don't look really cartoony and it doesn't look all pristine and weird. So hit it in all the nooks and crannies and then go ahead and wipe it all down. It'll just make it look a bit more real. You see, look at that little line that got filled in with paint there. Just picks up some of the details when you do that. Some more weathering here, you know, go over all your colors. It'll wipe right off, but it'll sort of stay stuck in the nooks and crannies, and that's what you want, you know. Unless you want it to look pristine, then you know you should have stopped watching this video a long time ago. Here's rub and buff. I usually put it on a paper towel and then wipe it off on a paper towel. I'm using another one of those cheap brushes for regular brush strokes. And you're just going to be dry brushing. I went kind of heavy with this because I want it to look really, really worn. But just, you know, just do it with the dry brush. Go easy, go steady. And yeah, do as little or as much as you want. In the black areas, it looks like it's been chipped off. In the silver areas, what it does is that it picks up some sort of like spectrally highlights.
So I will say this was a bit of a wild ride. It's always nerve-wracking to do all the weathering and stuff like that because you've got everything painted up exactly like you want, and then you start to mess it up and it's like, oh my god, what am I doing? But ultimately, if you've got sort of a measured eye, I kind of went heavy on the weathering, especially the chipping on the black and stuff, because I wanted this to be very sort of beat up. This is a holdout blaster, last ditch effort in a battle, has been thrown around a lot. So I love like all the heat oxidation, and I'm saying like I love all the work that I did, but I love like the inside of the barrel and the heat oxidation that I did. Let me show you down here. There's a couple of really subtle things that I did that I really like. Obviously I did a lot of like chipping, what would be chipping, so the metal is exposed on the black areas. I just kind of wanted that look. This little silver thing, it was a big sort of eyesore and I didn't really know what to do with it. So I did it silver, and then I did the weathering to kind of mute it and give it kind of a grimy look. And then I just hit it with that rub and buff right in the middle, and I literally just kind of like pressed down the brush like this in a circle so that it would like create this little sort of little bursty effect there. It's really subtle, you can barely see it, but it's the kind of thing that sort of glints in the light and looks really nice. I don't know if you can catch all of that. It's really subtle, all in the silver here along this ridge. It's really subtle, it just sort of glints in the light, and I really love that kind of look. When you're sort of looking at it, you don't really sort of notice it, but when it starts to catch light, that's when it sort of really kind of sings. And you know, just weathering and just in spots where I knew it would be touched a lot, like that sort of, you know, these sort of areas where things are touched a lot, where it sort of lands a lot, or it gets sort of thrown a lot on that ridge, on this ridge, on this, just to sort of make it, I don't know, feel used and weathered, really. I'm really loving the heat oxidation. I haven't mastered it, but I'm getting close. Every time I do it, I get better and better at it. And I really like how this turned out with those paints. I'm loving these little yellow bits here because, again, if you see it straight on, it just looks yellow, but when it starts to catch the light, you really start to see it kind of shine. The only thing left to do to this is cover it in a clear coat, which I will do. I'm not gonna do that on camera because it's out there, and I'm gonna wait a little bit so that all of the rub and buff, because it's oil based, so that it fully dries. It's dry, you know, it's not gonna come off on my hands, but I just wanna let it like cure for a little bit. So that is the blaster. That is the end of the blaster. It's been a long road for this little guy, and I'll throw up a picture here of what it looked like when I first bought it and what it looks like now. I think an improvement, right? Anyway, at the end of the video, the other two will be linked. I'm sure throughout the video I've linked them as well. Go check out part 1, part 2, and this part 3 of my sort of little customization cosmetic. Because the NERF people get all up in arms when you say, you know, customized or whatever, and no internals have been done. I only do painting. I think I give it new life here. So yeah, anyway, thanks so much. Roll the thing!